It's not lost on me that the announcement of this would happen right now, that it will cause us to lose focus on the January 6th hearings.
My name is Alyn Eric Waller. I'm the pastor here at Enon Tabernacle Baptist Church, the largest African-American congregation here in the city of Philadelphia, 15,000 members.
When Cornelius got the story, his household came to Christ. But when the Ethiopian eunuch got it, the whole community came to Christ. There's something about what it means to be African that you don't keep it for yourself. We are concerned about the direction of our country, and we keep in prayer. The Supreme Court has shown us the direction that they want to go. And we as Christians, obviously, we're not interested or wanting to see anyone have an abortion. But please understand this, if it is illegal, there are still going to be women and babies that die. And it is dangerous for poor and black and brown people not to have a choice and not to have a free, fair, and few option. But it's a larger strategy that we need to be aware of. And we now have to make sure that we don't play checkers, but we play chess. You see, it's not lost on me and others that the announcement of this would happen right now. And I think we need to remember that what they would like to happen is such a disruption and distraction on this, that it will cause us to lose focus on the January 6th hearings and cause us to lose focus on the larger issue of holding accountable those who started the insurrection.
A new Harvard-Harris poll has just been released. They found that 63% feel Congress should be working on more important matters. And this comes on the heels of the latest CBS poll that found that of all the issues that concern voters ahead of the midterms, January 6th comes in dead last. Voters couldn't care less.
Don't take the bait, but recognize that all of this has to do with voting. All of this has to do with coming out. And in this country, in this state, one of the most important elections that we will have is coming up this year. And so to protect this state from what has just happened at the Supreme Court, it means an unprecedented Obama-like turnout must happen in November so that what was happening with the Supreme Court does not happen here. As we get ready to go to God in prayer, let's not lose focus in light of what has happened at the Supreme Court. You know, it makes sense that that ruling would come out right now. Hear me. You need to understand that we're in a war. We're in a war for the soul of this country. I think you need to know that there are those who would love for the protest to get out of hand, to draw away attention from the January 6th hearings. I think all of us need to remember what the ruling was and what it was not, and recognize the strategy, but also recognize that we're not going to win this war, and we're not going to win this thing being reactionary. I want to suggest to you that what happened this week in the Supreme Court is something that they have been working on for 35 years. Not just 5 years, 35 years. There has been a systematic taking over of a Republican Party through an ultra-conservative part of this country, because they feel that this country that they're losing control of this country. And there has been a methodical chess game being played, and we cannot play checkers against it. Please understand that one of the challenges, this is what happens when we have 23% voter turnout. This is what happens. You know, one of the things that we just got the exit poll stuff from here in Pennsylvania. Do you know that there were 1 million, and I'm rounding the numbers off, 1 million registered voters, and 200,000 of them turned out to vote. That's basically the numbers. That's 23%, roughly. There's change in there. We can't win doing that. And when we don't turn out to vote, every major setback that we have seen and is attempted to happen has happened by the margin of our inactivity. This is a moment where, yes, it's all right to march, it's all right to be upset, but as President Obama once said, don't boo, vote. Don't just get mad, vote. Let's show up. Let's be intentional. I am prayerful that all of the protests do not cause us to lose focus on the January 6th hearings, because a case is being made. What we're going to need to see is justice happen at the highest point in the land. Now, remember what the ruling was, and the ruling was send it back to the states. Now, states' rights are a tool of the far right. And it is a tool to get back, because in many cases, many of our states are still heavily Republican and heavily run, like Pennsylvania. We would have draconian laws if it were not for the fact that our governor vetoes everything that legislature continues to pass. We have to stay focused and stay alert. If we ever needed to be prayerful before, we sure do need it now. If we ever needed to be attentive before, we sure do need to right now. And so I want to encourage us not to lose hope, but recognize we're in the middle of a war. And this is a chess match. It's not checkers. And it's not just about being reactionary in this moment. Please remember, and you will hear me repeat this tomorrow. While I celebrate Juneteenth, remember, giving us Juneteenth is low-hanging fruit from 2 years ago. And in fact, the Juneteenth celebration is more an indictment on this country than it is a celebration. Because remember this about Juneteenth. Juneteenth is not the celebration of the freedom of the slave, because the freedom had come on paper 2.5 years earlier. Emancipation Proclamation went into effect in January 1 of 63, but the war wasn't over. So there was something on paper that said we were free, but it didn't mean anything because the Civil War was still being fought for another 2 years. When the Civil War was over in April of 65, we were free, but those in Galveston, Texas did not get the word. And the reason they didn't get the word is there were no federal troops to enact and willfully make so what was on paper. We have always needed robust federal support in the states to make sure that what it says for we as a people actually happens. So celebrating Juneteenth is a reminder that just because it says it on paper doesn't mean it's going to happen for us unless there are willful people making it happen. And now we can't wait on somebody else's will. We have to make sure we are the people of goodwill that demand of this country what it says on paper. And so I want to speak to just a little bit more to that tomorrow. But I need you to recognize this is not a time to sleep. This is not a time to close our eyes. This is a time to recognize that we are fighting for the becoming of that more perfect union. With all that said, I still believe we're going to win. I still believe this is a great country. I still believe God's will is going to get done and we are going to win. I still believe I want to live here. I still believe in the possibilities of tomorrow. And I believe in that everything that God has for you is going to come to pass. But that's why we pray. That's why we work. That's why we push. And that's why we press. So I'm encouraged today. I'm encouraged by what I saw at the church. I'm encouraged, even though We're seeing some challenging things happen at the Supreme Court level, and they're coming for more rights. Please understand that. But please also understand that we have a God who is bigger than this, and a God who promises to partner with us in our freedom. But remember this language. Remember how God says to the children of Israel, go into the land and possess the land that I'm giving you. Well, what does that mean, God? Are you giving it to me, or do I have to go possess it? The answer, yes, I'm giving it to you, but you got to go get it. And that is a word for all of us. God is going to do God's part, but we got to do our part.